If you broke up with an avoidant partner and are wondering whether no contact is the right strategy, perhaps you are in the middle of no contact and you don't know whether it's working, perhaps you're contemplating the idea of starting no contact, I'm going to explain you in this video what happens during no contact inside the head of an avoidant. I'm a former avoidant, so I'll help you understand how we function. I'm a former avoidant, and I'll explain you how to become more secure towards the end of the video. Bear with me, jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, there's a concept called deactivating strategies. Is the term they use in attachment theory. Deactivating strategy is anything that prevents someone from being securely attached. Okay, we have a deep need to bond with what is called a primary attachment figure. Our parents when we were kids, and that's where attachment research comes from child psychology. And when we're adults, we bond with another primary attachment figure, our partner. Okay, and so for avoidant, what would deactivate that attachment, that sense of I need that person in my life, or I feel great being with that person, is that potentially the feeling of dependency, the feeling that you cannot do anything without them, and therefore you depend on them to make a decision, to do something, to have activities, and therefore they feel like, she or he can't do anything without me. And that's overwhelming. Very often, avoidant, they feel overwhelmed by the relationship. The difficulty to express emotion. So for a long time, before I went through therapy because of my work, I thought that I just didn't have any emotions. But what I didn't understand is that we all have emotions. It's just how we handle them. Some people who are more anxious, they would take all the emotions and be hypersensitive and be crying when the tiny things happen. Some people would be suppressing those emotions, dismissing those emotions. That's why it's called dismissive avoidant. We tend to dismiss emotion. We put dust underneath the carpet and we feel like there's no dust, right? So it's very hard for them to express emotion, to discuss about emotion, to really get into that intimate level when it comes to expressing those things. The commitment, because the commitment is hard for avoidant because it means a lot of things that could overwhelm them. The dependency, if we are committed together, i.e. I have no other options, i.e. I'm going to live with you, I'm going to share things with you. And my one of the needs I have as an avoidant is I want my space. I want my space, I want my freedom. So commitment could clash. It doesn't mean that you will never be able to get married or be in a committed relationship with an avoidant, but there's a clash between being in a committed relationship and their trait as an avoidant. The other element that could deactivate is the feeling of being invaded. Again, it's really about their space, their territory. This is my thing. I don't share stuff, right? I don't want you to touch my things, or I don't want you to, I'm in my bedroom. Just an example, I'm in my bedroom. I just want to have my me time. Okay, a lot of avoidants will be triggered by this, by you invading their space. So from that, what people do after a breakup, and I call that catching a falling knife. We do exactly anything possible to deactivate them. We do everything possible to make things worse. For example, express your needs to be with them. You feel like, we broke up and I need to tell him or her how much I love them, how much important they are in my life, and you're making things worse by saying this. You open up, again, emotionally, try to think, okay, if I go, we stay away from that shallow interaction, shallow relationship, and we get into intimacy, he or she will, open their eyes and feel like, okay, we have something special. Actually, it's going to make things worse. when you try to confront them, to have more explanations, very often avoidant, they are not really great at providing explanations for their decision. And so we want to confront them, we want to discuss with them. They don't want that, they want space, they want time. Another thing, classic one, and that's more down to our emotional reaction of the breakup, is as we want to confront, as we want answers, as we want connection, as we crave that connection with our ex, we tend to message them. We tend to message them, to bombard their inboxes. And by doing that, again, we're invading their space. They have that feeling of, okay, it's overwhelming, okay? And they're going to push back even more. And so this is potentially what you've done. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people do that because it's an emotional reaction, okay? And if you're anxious, you're going to be you're going to have this drive to react this way. And this is why no contact helps, because you're doing the opposite in no contact. Avoidant, they have this deep need for space, as we discussed. And so by going no contact, it helps you to be more detached. You're diffusing the tension from the breakup. You're creating a healthy boundary, right? Because right now they took the decision to end the relationship, and by being more clingy, by being more needy, you're making things worse. Okay? This is true even if you break up with a secure attachment person or with an anxious person, but with an avoidant, it's even worse. Okay? By going no contact, you're recalibrating the dynamic. By going no contact, you're recreating that space that they need, that they want. Something that felt overwhelming is no longer overwhelming. A situation that felt you depend on me, you need me, it's gone. Because you don't interact with them, you don't ask them anything, you don't share them anything. Yes, but they don't care. I know, because that's how they are. Avoidant, they don't care, they'll feel better, they'll move on, they'll find someone else. These are the sort of thoughts that you might have. Your ex won't care if they don't love you, if they never loved you. Okay? That's it. It has nothing to do with avoidance, nothing to do with attachment style. I help people every day who dated avoidance. The probability or their success rate doesn't depend on their attachment. It depends on the feelings that they had, the history they had, and obviously about what you do after the breakup. If you continue to make them feel overwhelmed, you're going to make things worse. If you do what I'm going to explain later in this video, i.e. working on being more secure, working on sort of creating healthy boundaries, they're going to get back together. But it has nothing to do with attachment style. So don't think, I was dating avoidant, they're avoidant, hence they don't care about me. Hence they're not able to love me. Hence it's over. It's more complex than that. Of course, don't get me wrong, there's an element for avoidant to feel that I know best. Okay, there's that element of sometimes looking at shortcomings in their partners, looking at the different things that they don't like, and emphasize on those things. However, again, if they loved you, if you had something special, it doesn't matter. Remember, we have that deep need for connection, that deep attachment thing. It's in our DNA. We evolve like this, right? It's one of our primary needs. It's just a question of dynamic. What will make you get back with them is just a question of dynamic. I'll explain you how. If you're anxious, or if you're secure anxious, read this and master this. It is extremely important. So the anxious avoidant trap is very common. A lot of my clients are in that dynamic. Your job is to become aware of what is called working models. It's basically the term they use in attachment theory attachment research. It's a basic belief when it comes to relationship. We have different beliefs when it comes to relationship, and we can group those beliefs for anxious people, for secure people, and for avoidant people. One way to address this is to create what is called a relationship inventory. So I'm sharing a little bit how we work with my team when we help people to be more secure. We create that relationship inventory and we reconstruct our model looking at our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. Okay, and if you're familiar with that, there's a domain called cognitive behavioral therapy, and I'm going to explain you a little bit how it works later on. It's the next slide, it's not this one. If you develop the benefit of being secure, before I explain you the how, but the why it's important. If you develop this secure attachment, you'll feel way less anxious and way less depressed. That's mechanic. So it's very important. If you feel depressed, if you feel anxious, if you feel this pain on the back of this breakup, working at being more secure will really help you feel better. Your ex as well, the result would be he will see the change, because probably what made them break up with you, or what made them confirm the breakup, or anything that made the post-breakup worse, as soon as you start to be more secure, they will see a difference and they will start to be attracted by that new person, okay? And you can affect your ex's attachment. Studies have shown that if you're dating someone secure, you have a tendency to be more secure. So if you're anxious, the only thing and the best thing you should be doing is try to be more secure, okay? Regardless of the outcome, the idea, and I think it's a very interesting, it's a very fulfilling life goal, is to becoming more secure. Because then you're guaranteed that you'll have way healthier and fulfilling relationship. And that could be with your ex. That's one of the options. But even if you don't get back with your ex, doing this work is essential if you're anxious. Because probably you look at your different relationships and you feel like, I've always been like this. I've always been like this, and it's very hard for me to find someone. It's very hard for me to build sustainable relationship, or it's very hard for me not to suffer in relationship. And so if you don't want to reproduce the same mistakes again and again, try to look at those models, try to look at your belief system and change them. So I'll explain you how. So a tiny bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. And by the way, Sanela, who works with me, is a psychologist and she does CBT with her clients. So if you want to get in touch with her, I'm going to leave a link. You can book free call to have a chat with you. And so she'll explain you her methodology and how she works with her clients to help them be more secure. So thoughts, emotions, actions, it's really about deconstructing those things. So some thoughts that people have when they're anxious: he or she's so amazing, why would she want to be with me anyway? I'll never find anyone else. So there's many sort of stories that we tell ourselves. The emotions an anxious might feel, and there's like, again, almost hundreds of emotions. Could feel hopeless, rejected, unloved. And the action that we make, for example, try to make your partner jealous, attempt to establish contact at any cost. Perhaps what you've done after the breakup. Again, there's so many actions. The idea is to first bring that awareness of those mechanisms, and second, find an alternative option. So the working model is really, so maybe pause this video release, write them down on a piece of paper and try to do it on your own. Of course, it's something that you can do with a therapist, with Sanela, with someone else. But it's very important for you to understand those working models and work on them. It's the only way for you to be more secure. So, can you identify any situation that are prone to activate your attachment system? Can you detect ways in which an inefficient working model is preventing you from achieving more security? and ask yourself how a secure person will deal with this situation. So I'm really into visualization when I work with my clients. I really want you to, and try to do this exercise. Look at situations that are happening with your ex or with different people in your life, and try to see how someone that you know who's more secure, how you consider more secure, how would that person approach the situation? And perhaps do it with you right now. How would someone more secure would approach this breakup? What would they say? What would they do? Okay, that's what I sort of help my clients do when we're in touch on WhatsApp. I basically share them how I would respond, how I would, what I would say, what I would do, because I have, of course, now I'm secure and I understand how those things work, but I am also here to project what would be the ideal outcome. Okay, but can I break no contact, Alexis? The question in this video is, what's going on in your ex's mind when you do no contact, when they're avoidant? The question is, the answer is depends. I'm sorry about that. What matters right now, and again, if you ask yourself these questions, you're not asking the right questions. It's really important for you to ask the right questions. If you want the right result in your life, it's not about what you do, it's also about the questions you ask yourself. The question here is, how can I be more secure? How can I deal with this breakup in a healthy way? So what matters right now is a way to be more secure. And then, of course, I think, some people might disagree, but I think, and I'm a pragmatic because I've seen this working, I think it's okay to break no contact at some stage, but you need to be okay with the outcome, okay? No contact will have a positive impact on your avoidant ex. That's for sure. Now, whether that's enough, of course it's not enough. Otherwise it would be too easy. If you need more guidance, for example, you've been doing no contact for a few weeks and you don't know whether you should break no contact. If you still feel anxious with this, if you have questions about this specific question, and I'm mindful that I'm touching very lightly on the CBT problem, on the CBT thing. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate. There's a link in the description for you to get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to help you, to guide you, to help you feel more secure. If you have anything else or if you want to support, you can like and subscribe as well. Take care. Bye-bye. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.